a lot of astrologers will not get into the midheaven, which is a shame because it's a really, really cool part of the chart. And it's in Leo. You got the little Leo symbol right up here. And Jupiter, which is magnanimous and very beneficial, it's an extremely lucky planet. It shows where a lot of abundance and where a lot of your happier energy or your optimism lies. And so it sits right on that midheaven line, which is so cool. Now, the midheaven is interesting because to me, it brings together these two houses, which are the 9th and the 10th. The 9th is the Sagittarius house. So this deals with a lot of your ideas, your philosophies, your goals, your pursuits, your plans, your dreams, your ideals. And then it brings them together with that very tangible, make something happen Capricorn house. Capricorn's all about making something happen and manifesting things. So this really shows you the way that you manifest your career, especially, or your public image. And so with Leo, it's a very strong leadership role, extremely. And again, it can be really, really good or really, really bad. It really depends on your choices. To give you an example, two people that both had a Leo midheaven were Gandhi and Hitler.
Oh, boy.
How could you get more different than that?
The man is like a wise fisherman who cast his net into the sea and drew it up from the sea full of small fish. Among them the wise fisherman found a fine large fish. He threw all the small fish back into the sea and chose the large fish without difficulty. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. Jesus Christ, Gospel of Thomas. Good evening, everyone, on this late show. And I'm getting a little bit of a sore throat, so bear with me if I cough or something like that. And tonight I'm just going to go over a basic summary of the origin of the world from the Nag Hammadi Codex. And it's an interesting one. It didn't have a title. I guess they had a title for it. Of course, so a little bit of a disclaimer, I'm not religious. But I like looking into a lot of different things. The Old Testament, New Testament, right? But what interests me are the interconnections between all the religions, different time periods, different locations, yet they all come up with the same thing. So how does that happen? Is that just coincidence? Brush it off like it seems to be a lot of mainstream, a lot of what you would call elite do. But you know what? No coincidences here. Okay, let's switch it to the desktop. And I should probably start here. Now, you can go to various sources that have the Nag Hammadi library. Gnosis.org has it. You can go to even some of like the early Christian writings.com. You can find it everywhere. If Claremont College's digital library, they actually have the actual digital versions of the text if you ever want to translate it yourself, if you're able to. The only thing is, I don't think in one lifetime or even several lifetimes, I don't think one is going to be able to translate them very well or learn to be able to do it. And plus you're learning from someone else, right? So whether they tell you the correct thing or not, you don't know. You just kind of have to go, what do I have to say it, on faith. The good thing, however, is you actually get to see, at least on gnosis.org, whenever you are going to read from a codex, you can see who the translators are. So, for example, Codex 1, the Young Codex, Jung maybe, the Prayer of the Apostle Paul. So that's a Mayer translation, Mueller CGLP translation. You get two translations. I wonder if there are just other translations out there that's not of this. So what I am gonna kind of go over, because I've kind of glanced through all of them and looked at the different translations, short version, long version on some of them, and it's really pretty cool because you would think that this story that they tell, and just the one on the origin of the world, I mean, it puts Lord of the Rings' origin just kind of to shame, but it's very, very similar too. And I think what's interesting, I think J.R. Tolkien plus Guy Gavriel Kay. If you guys ever heard of Guy Gavriel Kay, he's he wrote a couple of books. One of my favorite books is The Lines of Al-Rassan. But one of the other things that I think I remember is he was also kind of like an editor. Maybe he in some way worked with J.R.R. Tolkien, and hopefully I'm saying J.R.R. Tolkien correctly. And he wrote this book. Maybe I should just go and bring it up. Guy Gavriel. Okay. So let's see some of the works that he has. Good stuff. If you guys like fantasy and historical fiction, read his stuff. I would stay away. Some of it starts getting dry. Like Lines of Al-Rassan is my favorite. If one of the favorite books of all time. Go and give it a read. I know I'm going off topic here. I'm sorry. The Fiona of Our Tapestry is very, very similar in some ways about the whole origin. It kind of brings in a lot of the Nag Hammadi origin story in some way. You just have to. You see a lot of the stuff in books and in certain things, but they never seem to be brought to the screen. You would think something as interesting as the origin story of the Nag Hammadi would go onto the screen. However long it's been, decades of things made onto the screen, Nag Hammadi isn't one of them. And plus, of course, you've got the actual real history where the powers that be keep destroying all the documentations, because a lot of these references within Nag Hammadi, they're kind of assuming that the reader who's reading it already knows kind of the backstory. So there's a lot of history lost, and it's sad. But anyways, back to Guy Gavriel Kay, the Lands of Al-Rassan. Go ahead and read that. I think the next one that I liked was Tigana. Song for Our Bone was pretty boring, and a lot of it starts getting into very, very poetic and not too great. But the Fiona of Our Tapestry is pretty good. If you like fantasy, very similar vein of like, I don't know. I guess it would be more like Lord of the Rings in some ways. It's worth reading. Just something to think about. Okay, sorry. Big segue. Now, on the origin of the world, it's untitled text. This is translated by Hans Geberd, Beth, and Bentley Layton. You can read different ones yourself. Of course, you can see that the origin of the world, there's just two translations here. I just kind of give you my take, because the thing is, there's just so many things that I've been reading and listening to, and gosh, if I get something wrong, please let me know what it is that I got wrong. And the thing is, I really want to talk or interview with some of the experts on these, but I've emailed them, I've contacted them, and whoever it is I kind of want to talk to and ask questions, I email them. They seem to not want to. I don't know what it is. But okay, I had to keep going on my own. It is indeed a lonely path. Okay, so the basic summary from what I know, and you don't have to read it, but I'm telling you should read it, because the thing is, it's very difficult to read in some parts, and you have to read it over and over and over. But it all starts with it's you don't give it a name. You don't give the origin of everything, the creator of all, a title or name. It's not even nothing is worthy of it. Okay, just thinking of it as existence, light, all that is good, but it doesn't encapsulate anything. It just is that. And it's a masculine part, but it's also feminine. It's androgynous. Now with all the Gnostics, it is a lot of androgynous things. It's more of there's a counterpart. So everything has a counterpart to it. I don't know why. I haven't really looked into why they have it. It's very much like the yin yang. So at any rate, the consort of what we would call the forefather that's just kind of one of the things that they call the forefather, because it has no origin, the forefather. So it leaves no trace, no trail. There's so many of the things that they talk about, but basically we know nothing. We can't find anything of the origin, but we can find the aftermath of this origin. It's almost like the Big Bang. Sorry about that. That kind of sucks. But the kind of like the wife of, but kind of the sameness of the forefather is Sophia. And well, they created, I think they've created things in the past, I would say, because what the origin of this world that we're living in, what they're saying is Sophia created, and she's, if there's a forefather, she would be the foremother, but she created something without the guidance or permission of the forefather. And in that creation came a lot of different things, and the main thing was this being that had their light, but she was ashamed of creating it because it was not what she thought it would be, and she was ashamed, etc. And so she cast it out, and this being is what you would call God. The ones that you if you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, pretty much what you're worshiping is this creation from Sophia. You're worshiping the name. I think there's 3 names. The main one is Yadaboeth, but you see Sophia mention this being as Samael as well, and from it, she I think she created a place for him to exist when he cast him out, and when he woke up, he was like, "Huh, there's just the land, darkness, sea, and all this stuff." And it's like, I must be the first of everything because there's no one before me. So I am God of all that exists, and all this other stuff. Crawdad. Sorry. I'll kind of go over the chat afterwards. But yeah, it's pretty cool, but it's not just that. So because of it's mostly a lot of arrogance, ignorance, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And this Yadaboeth, I would say, created a lot of different things, and within of those things, they created other things, and so there's numbers and all this other stuff, and to kind of impress them, look, I created, and you guys created other stuff, look how powerful I am. There's no one who's more powerful. And he goes, if there's anyone more powerful than me, let them appear. And then the forefather appeared, just emanating light. A lot of the ones that Yaldabaoth created didn't have this light, the spark of the forefather in Sophia, and so they couldn't see him. At least that's kind of their interpretation of the translations. But he saw him, and the others saw that Yaldabaoth recognized a being, and what basically was imaged was man. It was an androgynous human, perfect in every way, and Yaldabaoth was like, "What the hell?" It's like he got really jealous after the forefather just went away, and we don't know what was said, what was done. I think it hints at it within the Nag Hammadi text, and so Yaldabaoth was like, "Okay, well, fuck it. You know what? My plan is we're gonna one up this forefather guy, gal, whatever, and we're gonna create something to match it, right?" So they create us. He creates humans, in the image of the forefather, in order to gain the power. And there's a lot of creation stories of. There's a lot of so like the first creation of the forefather in Sophia, I think, was Adam, and so the Yaldabaoth named. Actually, he got that idea to name the creation of the humans, the first human, Adam. That way, using the name would also give power into the being. But there's so many nuances, like trickery, and not just Yaldabaoth, but also Sophia, because Sophia, there's more emanations. It seems like there's like where it all happens, and then there's just lower heavens until it reaches the earth. So in order to thwart, I guess, Yaldabaoth, Sophia gives humankind, a spark, and so basically Yaldabaoth's entire plan kind of backfired, and so the creation was us in some ways, but we weren't without the light, we were with the light. And so that's just kind of the origin story, and where it goes on from there, which no one knows about, is and it's just kind of a mystery at the moment. So we don't really know what our plan was, and eventually the forefather does bring forth his son, which is Jesus Christ, into kind of being a guard in some ways to prevent I guess humankind from being destroyed, and the Great Flood, etc. So basically Yaldabaoth is the one that caused the Great Flood, and of course if you read the Old Testament, even the New Testament, the God, the Lord that they say never say his name. They never say Yaldabaoth or Samael or the third name. But it's very jealous God, very arrogant, very wants stuff, wants sacrifices and all this other stuff. And you're like, what the hell? Because I grew up with people trying to indoctrinate me into their religion. I was like, all right. But I am now a follower of Jesus Christ in Sophia, and there's just more to learn. And even in the quotes, where all the Gospels, they say, you just got to keep searching until you know, and then when you know, you just keep trying to understand what you know. And I'm not doing it justice from what's written, but so the thing is, the forefather, very forgiving. The goodness. It's we can't really quite wrap our minds around it. But Sophia was ashamed and didn't know what to do, and he forgave her. It mentions she repented, and so he forgave her. So she was able to go back into the very source with the forefather, but she chose not to. She chose to stay where it is, which is, I think, this realm, this earth. And in my opinion, she's waiting for it to all end. I think she understands that she can end it, or if she ends it or the forefather ends it, then it's all gone. But I think she's hoping that something good could emanate from the bad, just like how the bad emanated from the good in some ways. And so she's here to fight. She's either some of her powers taken, and she wants that back, but not in a way where she has to destroy what she created, and all the things that sprang forth from his creations, the Autobots' creations. I don't know. We can't really talk with her or communicate. Maybe we can, because my two gosh, what am I thinking of? My two it's late. I'm not feeling too well, but my two gosh, my two sessions of damn it, I can't think. The Mother Vine. Why can't I remember it? Hold on, let me just. I can't remember. Yeah. Why can't I remember it? Ayahuasca. I can't even see it here. I just know it was ayahuasca. So my two sessions of ayahuasca, everything that I experienced, I think that everyone experiences is the mother, and that's what we call her, Mother Earth, Mother Sophia, the mother. It's very interesting, and what we find is we find ourselves, we find what we're meant to do, and within this, which is what's interesting, is that I think it was the Autoboth, but gave to the humans, us, a drink of forgetfulness. That's why we don't remember anything when we come into this world. We have no idea why we're here, what we're doing, and it's more of a philosophical question. I mean, just think, what are we here to do? Are we here in this time period where you're watching me on either a phone or a computer, whatever? And are we here to just make money, save up for a retirement, play video games, watch movies, raise a kid, further the cycle, have the people who are in charge keep taking away, make life difficult, whatever their reasons, cull the population, just like if we're just goyim or cows or whatever. Is that it? Is that what it is? Is that all we're meant to do? Are we supposed to do something more? Are we supposed to let them do that, by the way? I'm gonna say you don't believe any of this stuff. I say don't believe in anything at all. Just know what you feel and feel what you know, and make your decisions based off of that. If it has to be a hunch, but is that what we're just here to do? Just let people take, give nothing back, destroy, and is that okay by you? Is that all that you care about? Is just, hey, you're okay. If someone else is having a hard time, they should just work harder. That's just kind of the thing, right? Maybe they should get an education, type of stuff. Yeah, you kind of, rather than helping someone else or guide them in some way, or say, hey, yeah, there's this fundamental problem. We're all there. How do we get away from the system? And we have to finally find out that this system is not good. It never has been, and it never will be. And we need to end it. And we need to start something that's better, something that's more earthlier, more divine, good, You know, we don't lie about things, tell the truth. I mean, how basically don't do the things that you hate. There's a lot of gospel stuff. I mean, if you're religious, there's a lot of good sayings in there, but a lot of people don't follow them at all. Doesn't matter what the origin story is. And okay, so, and then of course, say hundreds of thousands of years, of millions of years, if you're in the if you're not flat Earth, if you don't think it's flat, or if you're still in the boat of evolution, I mean, it's still a theory. Evolution is still a theory, and it's not a good one. I mean, what are they saying now for the last couple of decades that the dinosaurs evolved after millions and millions of years into birds? Birds. So we're going to become like flying little sprites when we're a million years from now or something like that. And people are going to hunt the next newcomer in the evolutionary chain is going to hunt us for sport or cage us and make us sing for them. That's what millions of years of evolution does, folks. Anyways, the cool thing is some of the things that I've been looking into. This is kind of now off topic in a way. The Vesica Pisces, a lot of stuff that's involved with that, with the sacred geometry and stuff like that. You know, when you look at the Vesica Pisces, something that I never really noticed, or no one really ever says, it's what you see with your eyes. You know, depth perception, right? So if you're left dominant, your eye, if you close your right eye, you're going to see what's in here. Right eye, it's in here. But if you close your left eye, left eye, right eye, you're going to see that area. And that's why when you have both eyes open, you get that depth perception here. Just something interesting. Now, another interesting thing, okay, is 72. In Nag Hammadi, you're going to see 72. And 72 stands for the number of demons that were created by Yadaboeth. Actually, masters, I would say, because I think the final total was 365. I don't know. I haven't done the math on it, but that's what the gospel, one of the gospels, or maybe even a couple, say it's 365, and we get 365 days of the year. Instead of 360, you would think it'd be easily 360. And when I do the math, and it's here, there's another video of mine I did in the past. It's like, okay, why would the Egyptians? I mean, the Egyptian story is with Thoth taking 1/72 of the moon, and thus making 365 days out of the year. After winning a wager. At any rate, and those 5 extra days account for the new deities being born. Now, if you take 172, you get 0.0138, and you times it by 360, you get 5. So that's where you get the 5 extra days out of the 360 day cycle, and you get 365. So that's interesting how that happens. Now, other religions, I'm not going to go through the main 3, because I think just like many things that you'll notice, if you're going to get to this point where I'm at, which is just and that's it's, yeah, it's interesting. I'd say it's a good thing, it's a bad thing, but when you get to my point, to the point where I'm at, and a couple of others, and you know, that's the whole quote of the day. It doesn't matter if I'm catching a lot of fish and none of them care. It's just that one fish. All it takes is just one other person to keep it going. So those who can hear, you know, they'll hear it. Now, other religions, of course, the good god Osiris was enclosed in a coffin by 72 evil disciples and accomplices of Set. What's interesting is, I think another divine deity, maybe even it was the first one, I don't remember, it's also called Seth, from the forefather. So I think a lot of the older religions, and even the, I would say all the older religions, after a certain point, inverted and they don't just invert things, they also pervert things. So you're going to notice that a lot. You're going to notice that everything is starting to be upside down. What was good is now bad. What was bad is now good, and all this other stuff. And you're going to be like, what the hell is going on here? And you're going to say that's what they're attempting to do. The reasons for it, who knows? Maybe it's strategic. Maybe it's just cause confusion. Anyways, other religions in Confucius, there are 72 disciples of Confucius. There are 72 immortals in Taoism, 72 companions of apotheosis in Huangti. The number of devils, according to the Lesser Key of Solomon, was 72. So there's a lot of things with 72. 72 is a very, very esoteric, interesting number. I always thought things got really perverted to 73. Something new was created. I don't know. That's just a guess, but maybe it's just 72. And that's just how it is. With the math, this new math that I just did, and 0.0138. Gotta remember 0.0138 because or just 138 in general. Gotta keep that in my head for some reason. Now, what's interesting also on the origin of things is that there's always a counterpart. So there's the feminine and the masculine. And one of the weaknesses in some of these is, so Yadaboth created 7, I guess, to kind of rule underneath him. And those were named after the days of the week. And there's the masculine, which is, so Yao is, the feminine is lordship. Sabaoth is the masculine. The feminine is deity. Adonai is the masculine, and kingship is the feminine. So, although the translation is kind of very vague, it's basically to prevent these creations from overpowering him. Yadaboth created these feminine names as a way to control them, as their weakness points. It gets really confusing at this point. These are things like I wonder if I have to go over these, and yeah, read it. I don't think I do the summary justice. It's just kind of, it's a very interesting origin story. I would say that, and this origin story kind of matches from my experiences, the weird experiences and the good, the normal, the reality, I guess. Another thing, I was playing with the gematria stuff, and I don't know whether gematria is accurate at all. I mean, it points to things that are connected, but I think the current powers that be use it for their own advantages, saying, hey, look how authentic this is, because we created this, we took this over and we retranslated it and added some math, and therefore you can't say that this isn't a coincidence, that it's all created by Yadaboth, who which they also mention is Yadaboth is the best at music, and that's why that's one of the methods of control. Which kind of sucks when you think about it that way, because music is pretty wonderful. But so not all. I think if bad can be created with, or evil can be created with good, then good can be created with evil. So who knows? It's just kind of like the duality, the yin yang. There's a little bit of essence in the mass, and there's opposites. Macrocosm. It starts to get really weird. I'm telling you, you don't know what to think, whether the Freemasons, Illuminati have it right, or they're just have it inverted, perverted, and you just have to go with just unconventional means, I would say. Maybe it was conventional in the past, but it's not conventional now, and you'll know by them saying, don't do this. If they say don't do this, or you shouldn't be doing this, by all means you should do it, if it's not causing violence or harm. I mean, if it's just something to think about. Like all the if they're saying like the Earth is round, it's flat, folks. I mean, if the Earth is a globe, it's flat, folks. If they're saying, oh no, there's nothing in the magnetic North Pole, in the geographic North Pole, it's just snow and ice, and there's a pole. You can all the there's pictures. There's nothing there. There's something fucking there. They're saying, hey, Antarctica, you know, there's aliens, UFOs, all this crazy, insane, cool stuff, and they say, hey, there's a treaty out there, so, and it's very, very, but there's a lot of nothing, whatever. I think they want you to go there. I think the whole thing for Antarctica is a distraction. I think they want, especially the flat Earth community, they want them to go to Antarctica. They don't want them to go to the magnetic North Pole because you don't see a lot of talk about the magnetic North Pole. After you hit the Earth is flat, you just hear, let's go explore the Antarctic. And the thing is, I think you're going to just find a lot of dark, cold, and a lot of snow and ice out there. I don't think there's going to be what they've been trying to get people to see. And it's just, everyone go as far away from the magnetic North Pole if you're going to explore. If you want to explore the flat Earth, the ends, find the end of the dome, find the place where the water falls off into whatever, go there, explore there. Because in the magnetic North Pole, there's nothing. So go away, as far away from the center as possible. And here's the thing with the center. The most magnetic force science or anyone can think about is the North Pole. It's magnetic. All compasses point north. They never point south. So there's something definitely very, very magnetic there. We don't see any videos, even though we've been to the moon. How many times now? 6 out of 6? At least walked on the moon with videos and pictures, hundreds of them, if not thousands. But we haven't seen any videos or photos of magnetic North Pole. I mean, what? Imagine. I mean, they say it's some Mount Meru dark tower magnetic pole. Can you imagine the most powerful magnetic force of attraction? What could be accumulated there? I mean, the ships with metal. Swords, I mean, whatever storms that go past through there, it's going to be stuck into this metal pole that gets magnetized as more metal gets to it. And you can find treasures of probably very, very ancient treasures. How are you going to pull off like a super rare sword made out of metal from the most magnetic thing in the world? Which, you know, this is what I always wanted to do. It's the most magnetic man-made object. Most powerful magnet, 2004. Okay, let's see. This is way back in 2003. So researchers at the National High Magnetic Field Laboratory in Tallahassee, Florida, currently hold a record with a hybrid magnet system they put into operation in December 1999, weighing 34 tons and standing 22 feet tall, as a magnetic field of 45 Teslas. Oh, about 1 million times more powerful than the Earth's magnetic field. See, here's the thing. What? You're saying a man-made thing is 1 million more times powerful than the Earth's magnetic field? I highly doubt that. They're going to make it so that Earth's magnetic field is very, very weak. Of course, we're not going to see any videos or photos. Like, how do we know that? A math calculation that you guys made up? It's like, there's never any pictures. There's never any videos. There's just saying, hey, this is what it is. Okay. So the Earth's magnetic field is 1 million times smaller than 45 Teslas. You know how small the magnetic field of the Earth would be, yet it attracts something as powerful as the moon? It causes jeez, I don't know what to say. I mean, this is the stuff that they put out. It's like, if you even think about it, it's like, does that make sense to you? That I mean, let's the power of Earth's magnetic field. Okay. I don't know. Let's see. They don't really say how powerful it is. What does it do? I mean, yeah, it's so powerful. Birds can flock to it. Of course, you don't see any like how birds can see the Earth's magnetic field from Forbes, but you don't see them flocking to that man-made magnet, right? Okay, let's see. How powerful? I mean, this is, you've got the internet at your disposal. Let's see. They don't really say how powerful it is, do they? Not very easily. It's like, come on, how powerful is it? They don't tell you shit. Oh, okay. Quora, of course I don't like Quora. It is, contrary to popular belief, is extremely weak, many times weaker than even a common ferroceramic bar magnet. Yet everything points to the North Pole. That's how weak the Earth's magnetic pole is. They like it's weak. There's nothing there. You're not gonna, because it makes sense. Because if it was one of the strongest things, people would be like, "Hey, how come we don't go there?" You know, if it is the strongest magnet in the world, in the Earth, whatever, there would be so much accumulation of metal that people would be flocking there. But they don't want people to flock there, so they say it's super weak. I like how they just kind of shrug it off, and that it's also decreasing the core. I mean, 34 tons. Something that weighs 34 tons is a million times more powerful than Earth's magnetic core. It's just they're killing me. At any rate, we will finally find out. They never show us any pictures. All we get are diagrams. We get renderings, artist renderings. We get little traces. We get diagrams again. No pictures, no videos. Everything's animation. Everything. However much we spend in government. You guys know I'm now, an anarchist. Whatever in anarchists is without rulers. It's not without rules. Okay, so however billions of dollars we spend on climate science and observatories and things like that, or NASA, how come all we get are fucking animations? How come all we get are fucking artist renderings and diagrams? I mean, we've got people with almost nothing taking pictures and videos of everything. That's the whole social media. You got more. You go to Facebook, you go to any type of image sharing, pictures and videos. You know what they don't have? Art renderings or diagrams, right? But the thing is, they won't really let you get up there. They won't let you get to the Arctic Circle within it. They say it's too dangerous. Antarctic too dangerous, closed off. So the places you can't go are places they won't let you take pictures and videos of, and they won't give you pictures and videos except for what they show. It's just, and those areas, it's just, oh, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Even though within the Arctic Circle, teeming with fish, teeming with large fish and mammals that go to the Arctic, within the Arctic Circle, at least once a year. If you watch any science show, science channel, whatever it is, where it has the Arctic in it, you're gonna see that there's just, and here we go, I'll just go ahead and we're done with this part. You're gonna see just tons and tons of fish and wildlife up there, up in the Arctic Circle, where you would think that there wouldn't be. I mean, they say the water is super cold because it's even colder than the ice that form up there because of the salt content. Yeah, you see a lot of dolphins going up there, warm-blooded animals, to go and feed. Whales, mammals definitely go up there. And you see mammals that live up there. Polar bears are mammals. They thrive up there. And you've got a couple of other mammals that are really big and small that live within the Arctic Circle. And birds go up there. You would think, like, there's the least amount of sunlight. It should be super cold. There should be nothing really growing up there. Yet, all the migrations occur going to the Arctic Circle. It's like, why are they going to the Arctic Circle? If you would think that, all the migrations, they keep going back up north during the summertime. Summertime in the equator is that the most that we think is the things that grow the most stuff in the world. So why are they going up to the north? There should be less stuff up in the north. Yet they all keep going up to the north. So every animal seems to go up to the north, except for us. And some of us probably want to go up there, but can't. It's like, how do we figure out, how do we get past the forces that don't want us up there? And don't know. Crawdad, Grant Jarvis, good day. Crawdad in chat, isn't the closest thing they have found to a proper answer is the multidimensional theory where there is just one of infinite possible universes or something, and there being 10-dimensional planes? Yeah. A lot of jargon. If you believe that, might as well just believe the origin of the universe with the Nag Hammadi. It's the same thing. It's just one story over another, which you can't ever verify. At least one story is a lot more entertaining and makes a lot more sense as to the state of how things are right now. The science explanation, actually, I wouldn't say science. The scientism explanation will never give you the reason why things are like they are now. How things are wacky, doesn't make sense, doesn't add up. They'll give you a math that says, hey, here's the equation. Plot a whole bunch of different types of numbers, and you go, see, look, it adds up. This is how things are. This explains that. And all it does is just point to another number. It's like, okay, that doesn't really prove anything. You just wrote an equation, which is interesting. And once we get to know the equation, it's like, great, thank you. Blah, 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 blah equals blah, 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 blah. And so blah is this and blah is that. It's like, no, well, that doesn't really explain how things are. Just, that's a nice equation there, buddy. One thing that's representative of something else, and then it's never a whole number. It's always more fractals of something else. And they go, oh, see, life is fractals. and then you'll notice that it's not all fractals, or you don't see it as fractals in just nature. And you go, oh, well, see, math is correlated to nature, but nature isn't exact, and so math isn't exact. They'll give you all this short and skinny. Trust me, it's a big geek, nerd, science person. And yeah, a lot of people just kind of get sad in some ways, like, oh man, and I thought I knew stuff. I just knew a lot of gibberish. And so it's like, now I gotta relearn shit. And all the shit that I'm relearning from, I don't even know if the people who are looking at stuff know it. We're looking at a whole bunch of ancient stuff where, you don't understand the language. You just have to go by the translations. And you go, how did the people who knew how to translate stuff know how to translate stuff? And can you even trust them? There's so many adaptations of all these ancient texts and all this other stuff. Plus, powers that be, why would they really reveal a lot of this stuff to the public? So there's only so much you can really trust. And so we just keep having to go with like alternative means. It's like, how do we get to this? How do we get to that? It's like magic, or it's just voodoo or crazy stuff. It's I don't know. I guess you just add up the coincidences, huh? I mean, experience. If someone has the same experience as someone else on a hallucinogen, or what they call a hallucinogen, that's why ayahuasca is the number one truth medicine, I would say, because people will probably, who either people lie or they don't really experience it, like or they experience it and they lie about their experience. But the commonality is everyone who experiences it experiences the same thing, especially the first time. The first time you'll meet Mother Ayahuasca, she'll guide you, she'll protect you, she'll give you your first lesson. And then the further lessons you do, my second one was a very, very hard lesson. And there's probably a reason behind it, and I'm most likely there is a reason behind it. Kind of makes me shrug it off as to not being ready for the next lesson. Because did I really learn the second lesson? In a way, yes. In a way, maybe not all the way. But I'll see. I think the third lesson, I'll know what more to do, and that guides me in very many ways, because I keep seeking answers, but I don't know which direction to go, and then the direction will come to me in some form or another, and it matches my experiences that I had within ayahuasca. And it's like, okay, so this other state of consciousness that I remember, it's not like a dream where you wake up, it's like it's gone. No, this is firmly embedded within my psyche. And it's not a experience that you it's not an experience that you really enjoy. It's like learning martial arts from an instructor who doesn't ease up on you. You know, you're gonna learn the hard way. You're gonna get the bumps. You're gonna get the bruises. You're gonna get cut. You're gonna bleed. You're gonna have trouble moving the next day. You know that. You know that's what it is. It beats you up, and you learn your lesson. It's not a physical beat up. You get healed physically. But yeah, and what's interesting is when I'm reading again back to the Nag Hammadi, and I think I'm going to start with the Gospel of Thomas, because Thomas of Didymus is very similar to me as far as the origins of where I am at now as being an agnostic. I still consider myself agnostic. And then when I hear someone like Maddie Lee is always lumping in atheists with agnostics, I'm like, dude, you say you're a Christian or new Christian, whatever it is, just kind of like I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. Yeah, you don't know Thomas of Didymus was an agnostic, who's the last person to believe Jesus Christ until Jesus Christ, he saw for himself who Jesus Christ was, and then he's like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're who you say you are, type of thing. So Grant Jarvis, you speak more than one language. How do you translate? Saying you're from Korea, do you speak two languages? How do you translate between two languages? Yeah, you're just taught that. They just teach you. But how? But the thing is, how is it always correct? Is it always correct or not? It really depends on who you learn it from. So I didn't really learn formal Korean because every time I learned it, there's no one to speak Korean to. The only people I speak Korean to is my mother and my father. Not really. So it was just my mother. Sometimes I'll speak to my relatives in Korean because they don't know how to speak English. And so, where did my mother learn Korean? She learned from her family and the area that she grew up in, and she wasn't formally educated. She didn't. I guess her highest type of education was probably like junior high school, right? Just under high school level. So I communicate with her. We talk, and our part of vocabulary isn't as adept as those who are like, say, journalists or something like that in Korean that would speak on TV all day in Korean. They talk too fast. I can't understand them. And then when I go and talk Korean to people who are visiting America from Korea, they laugh at my accent and the mannerisms they say I talk like a baby would talk in Korean. And so I stopped talking Korean. Why would I talk to someone who just laughs whenever I speak Korean? Anyways, that's language. And you learn language from foreign language from someone who's really fluent and good at it and speak to them all the time. You can speak very good, fluent language as your foreign language. It's gone a little bit longer than I wanted. Let's see. It's 58 minutes long. Not quite 3. I'll see. I don't know. I just kind of like talking. I haven't talked in a while. So yeah, it's very interesting how things just kind of guide you. And many people that are going through this, and I think there's going to be a good amount, not a lot. One of the coolest things that you'll hear or see or read within the Nag Hammadi is the term unmoved. There's going to be, so there are unmoved people. And that thing is just basically people who are just, once they realize a certain thing is, you get a choice. You know, it's just like the blue pill and red pill, like in the Matrix. You have a choice. You can take the red pill, you can take the blue pill. And then if you go back, you know, it's like, yeah, I don't care about all that stuff. Keep making money, take vacations, retire. You know, I'll buy a plot of land. I know I'll pay taxes. I'll get screwed over by the government. I'll get screwed over by the banks, the interest rates, etc. And, you know, it's all right. I'm making good money. Or everything will be fine. You invest in stuff because, you know, you can't just have cash just sitting in your bed because eventually the government that you're in, the economy is going to shrink and your paper fiat's going to be worthless. So you got to invest in something. And if you invest in equity, well, stocks plummet, you're in trouble. It's all that's worth nothing. You're gonna have to invest in something else. Some of it's real estate. They've tanked real estate before. Land is worthless. They've tanked commodities. Most people put their money into oil. That's tanked sometimes. It's grown. Gold, silver, same thing. Up, down. Copper, up, down. Now here's cryptocurrency, up, down, up, down. They control any type of materialistic aspect. So whatever your station in life, you're gonna spread the field, but you're not gaining. You're just treading water every time. Everyone who's not within that club, you're treading water. You're not going to get to the level where you're going to become a multi-millionaire or billionaire. Never. And if you do somehow make it like that, where people just hand you millions and billions of dollars, they're going to make sure that you're not going to get that until you do some of the things they tell you to do. Or tell you the things what you're not supposed to do. And, I mean, they control all of it. Unless you, most people, they don't even get gold or silver when they get it. They get gold or silver certificates. And so when shit hits the fan, they go and you go, hey, look, I got a certificate for gold. Can I trade it in for the money? And they go, dude, we only take real gold here. And all these commodities that they have, very hard to attain, hard to store. I mean, you're gonna store, say, $100,000 worth of gold. You know how much that weighs? Even silver, it's not as heavy. You know how much that weighs? And you're gonna store it where? In your home, where people could break in and just kill you and just take your silver? They really wanted it. So it's a lot of hoarding, storing, protecting. Eventually you go away, someone else takes it. Heck, your kids will probably take it, and kids probably don't give a shit about you. And that's how they want things. They want it so that every family falls apart in some level or another. But speaking of coincidences, I think one of the shows that I will do in the future is how, and I mention it a lot, people who are in this woke state, and I would say we are the unmoved. Some of us get to the point where we're never going to go back to what we're doing. And it's a shame, because if we're wrong, we are hurting our family. And we never want to do that. So it starts to get really, really it's like a race. You know, there's only so long you can hold off until something breaks. We don't want it to be the family dynamic. We don't want it to be our individual selves. We don't want to, you know, it's almost like you have to be at this point, because when you're too comfortable, you're not going to take measures where you would normally go. For example, if I had $1 million and I was set in my ways, and, you know, I wouldn't, like, would I want to go to Magnetic North Pole by myself? I mean, I could just live every day in Hawaii, where it's super nice and warm, and swim and surf all day, fish, and just live the good life, right? But you know, that's probably not going to happen. I mean, at this point, it could have happened by now to me, but it hasn't. It's like, hey, Ebon's going to a route that we don't want him to go, because if he finds out what's at the Magnetic North Pole and tells everybody, we're screwed. So you know what? Let's just toss some millions and millions of dollars. But maybe they know that if they toss me millions and millions of dollars, it would just make my journey to the Magnetic North Pole easier and quicker. And so maybe they don't do that. So I call those of us who don't sell out the unmoved. And it takes, and I think, I don't know, maybe that's why we just slowly let go of everything that we've got in some ways and focus on what really matters. And at that point, we're guided in some way, and I am hoping, because it's a lot of faith, that something works out. I've got no answers. All I've got are endless questions. But you know what? If we got the answers and we're okay with the answers that we got, we won't create any action, right? It's the question, it's the curiosity that gets us moving, gets us figuring things out, gets us activated into diving deeper. And once we get deeper, it's like we find out more, and with that, when we find out more, we go, all right, now we can either do this or just go back. And it's never go back. Once you know a certain amount of things, you never say, okay, let's go back, say it never happened. Except I think there are many people who would do that. But the unmoved, they would not do that. I need to learn more about the unmoved. And, you know, that kind of always makes me think of like but I don't like using the numbers within the New Testament or Old Testament. Because you hear about the 144,000 revelations. But, you know, the thing is, the entire story of Genesis and all that stuff, it has elements of the origin of of the universe with the Nag Hammadi. It's very similar. Of course, they invert a couple of things and then they pervert some of the stuff, but some of the essentials are there. But they don't tell you the important details of the names, and then the I wouldn't say it's not opposing opposite. It's the masculine and the feminine, the you know what I mean. Just read the Nag Hammadi. And people probably won't. I know they're just gonna be like, okay, we got the summary. It's all. I'll go watch Lord of the Rings again instead, type of thing. Okay, so that's it. Again, let's see. There's multiple things. I may dive more into this. I may go into the Gospel of Thomas from Nag Hammadi. I'll see kind of what comes up. You know, I don't think anyone really knows what's at the magnetic North Pole. All the older stuff. It's all these accounts of it. It's all the same thing, but really it doesn't really matter. Someone just has to go up there. Someone has to report back to everyone who's looking for more things that's been hidden or kept away from us, and see where we go from there. Because there's only so much we can do behind the computer, and I think it's a good thing. It's a horrible thing in ways, because no matter what actions I take, I'm not going to gain any traction, subs, views, money, anything like that. It's just something that whatever I find, and what's funny is I see people like Owen Benjamin kind of starting to go through the same phase as me and many others before me, and all those others before me are going, look at this guy, he's going through the same thing. Yeah, it is kind of hilarious because everyone does go through it to get here, but then no one goes further. No one takes the next step, because what they're doing is good. It's like, okay, come to this checkpoint. We need more people at this checkpoint because there's not enough of us, and then there's more further down the checkpoint waiting for everyone else. Is like, we need more people over here at this checkpoint. Can you guys somehow get more people in? And he's like, people over here say, what do you think we're doing? Of course we're doing it. What do you guys find way over there? And people at this checkpoint are going, well, we don't know. Our resources are running thin. Maybe we just need more people with better resources to keep continuing on. And then over here at this checkpoint is like, we've got a lot of resources over here, but you know, we really can't afford to give you any more resources because we're using all the resources to get people here. It's just a big circle jerk in some ways, and I think it's fine. I think the less material stuff that one has, the more drastic the action that they will take in order to hurry up the process of making change. So I think this is a part of it. I think it's the point of no return in some ways. It makes me think, just like Julius Caesar was at that march. Hi, Kathy B. Long time no seeing. Grant Jarvis, right? Looking forward to see you chat about the Gospel of Thomas. So yeah, I do like. I mean, I have read Gospel of John, or the Lost Gospel of John. Gospel of Thomas is something more of my line, and that I'll probably look into and read more in depth. And I've been tempted to look into, like, because right now I see Greenland as being the closest, right? Flights to Greenland, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to get there. And whenever I get to Greenland, I mean, is it Greenland? Yeah, it's Greenland. Whenever I get to Greenland, let's just say I'm going a round trip. Let's just see what they have. Where do I land? Nuke. Where's Nuke? Now it's time to compare. Cheapo Air. Okay. All right. How about in the summertime? You guys got to find something in the summertime. Okay, that's probably because it's. Let's do May 15th. Not that I'm going to really go in May 15th, but let's just say. Just so we get a sense of how much it costs. And I don't know where Nuke is anyway. We're going to have to figure out Nuke. Really? All right. Anyways. Google Maps. Nuke. Nuke Greenland. We only have one. No, that's not Greenland. Is that Greenland? It is Greenland. And it's the southernmost part of Greenland. You never get. It seems like we're never gonna get way up there. See, that's the thing. Even if I flew to Greenland, the closest part where I want to go north to the Arctic, I don't think they're gonna have something. So no matter where I go, I'm gonna have to find some smaller airline or ship that'll take me to a northernmost point. And I think might as well be through here within Canadian or maybe even Alaskan areas. It's tough. I don't know. Because I would like to make it a quick trip. I don't think quick is going to be I don't think quick is going to be what I want it to be. They don't make it easy, that's for sure. Even if you had means, I don't think they they make it easy. I mean, gosh. And I don't want to stay away from family for too long. That's the other thing. It's like trying to get to the magnetic North Pole from here in Greenland. Just getting it all the way here on a land track would take months. Not to mention from this part to whatever's up there, it'd take many more months. I'm trying to do this in like no more than 5 weeks, I hope. It's tough, and I don't think I'm gonna get there from Siberia. Yeah, with the tensions of Russia and in the U.S. Now, I've always thought about like Norway, because Norway, it's I mean there's still quite a ways out, but of course there's been an account of a historic Norway expedition from Olafsson, I think. Gosh, I can't remember the name, but him and his father made it to the magnetic North Pole and what was there. Hi, Kathy. Check out King Solomon. Yeah, there is like a Solomon thing. I will check that out. Because this King Solomon stuff that I heard before, you know, it's all stuff as a kid, stuff that's in the movies, but probably have to look deeper. A company that takes people 9 degrees north. Yeah, probably like some flight or charter or something like that, but they won't let people out. My thought was, and I don't know if yeah, I guess people will find out anyway. My thing is there are places where they'll have you fish for like and like certain lakes and ponds that are up near the Arctic, where I guess you could rent like a cabin or something like that and fish for like Arctic grayling and things like that, which is very plentiful. Like they don't need to stock it. There's just abundance up there. Like a lot of animals are. And so going from one of those places and just leave and go where the magnetic north points. And again, I was talking earlier about how you've got lots of sea life and not just fish, mammals, but mammals, going and birds going up to the Arctic Ocean, Arctic area, to the Arctic, pretty much. Geese fly north. Everything flies north. But you would think the majority of wildlife and stuff would be at the equator. It's like, why would you ever leave? There'd be abundance within the equator. All that sun, all that nutrient stuff. No, they go up here. They don't fly south to the Antarctic. Never hear anybody or any. If you go to like Blue Planet or whatever, you don't see a whole bunch of herring going down to the Antarctic, where all the whales and all the dolphins and swordfish where they go, sailfish. They don't go to the Antarctic every year to feed off of a whole bunch of herring. They go to the Arctic. You don't see a lot of the Arctic terms or whatever stay at the Antarctic. They go wherever, somewhere at the equator or something, and then they fly back up north to the North Pole. Magnetic North Pole. Solomon and Sophia. Huh. I will definitely take a look. I wonder if is it the humans Sophia, or is it just another kind of like a parable? Because I'll take a look. But thanks, Kathy. Anyways, it's a mystery. Still, it's good that it's a mystery because we keep looking. If we thought it was enough information, we'd stop looking. It's like, okay, I don't need to go to magnetic North Pole. The NASA and NOAA and isn't interesting. NOOA is Noah, just like Noah of the biblical and a whole bunch of other stuff. People don't notice that. NOOA, whatever. NOOAA. Yeah. How do you pronounce National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration? NOAA. NOAA. Is that coincidence? Or did they do that on purpose? And right when you get there, globe Earth. Not flat Earth. And I'll bet you all the money in the world, whatever money, I'll make up a number. How about $1 million? You give me we'll bet $1 million, even if I don't have $1 million. This isn't a real picture. This is either a composite or an artist rendering. Excuse me. And they'll even tell you that. That's the thing. And you know what? There are certain quotes from within the Nag Hammadi and even the New Testament, whatever. They tell you a whole bunch of things. And you know what? People will just remain ignorant. They don't care. And that the coincidence of it is supposedly all this stuff was written 280 or something like that. They had the same problems. People wanted to remain ignorant. People didn't care about searching for the truth. People would just listen to the people that day and go, hey, look, these people are all listening to this guy. He must be saying something right. Hey, look, this guy's king for some reason. We gotta listen to this king. Yeah. Makes you sad in some ways that so much pain and suffering has been going on for so long, and yet nothing ever changes. And things that do happen still hasn't happened with a good result. Very minor things happen. In America, nothing as good has happened in a long, long time. I mean, JFK, throughout all his faults, he got assassinated. And by no other than the government. which he served. There has not been a good time, and some people, and I know, like most of the progressives, Greens, whatever, their favorite, I guess, was way back in the FDR days, right? Franklin Delano Roosevelt. They say that, New Green Deal, whatever. They're all excited about that. I mean, that's over a century, folks. Maybe not. Has it been over a century? I mean, well, it's close to a century. I mean, goodness, that long? I mean, within our generation, it hasn't been good. Is that what you're saying? And yet you're gonna keep doing the same thing over and over again in order to say, hey, maybe it'll work this time? Dude, that never happens. Never happens. It's like finding a bug in a software program. It's like, hey, I know it's a bug. Every time we repeat these steps, it happens. But you know what? If we do it the same way, maybe it won't happen. No, it always happens. And if it always happens until that gets fixed or find a way around it, you're going to experience the same result over and 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 over again. And you're going to see the same response every time from the powers that don't want this change to happen. They're going to say, what are you going to do? Be violent? You're going to what? Take your pitchforks and go after all these people who do no wrong? It's like, no, they're perpetuating the wrongness every chance that they can and claiming victimhood in case of people who want to change that. It's like people who are violent to someone else and they're like starting a fight or trying to rape someone. It's like, dude, I was going to rape this person with just my hands, but she defended herself with a knife. I mean, who uses a knife to defend themselves? Like, dude, you're going to commit violence, a rape. It doesn't matter how they defend themselves. They can defend themselves however that they want. You chose to commit violence. The person who's being done violence against can choose whatever method they want to defend themselves against that violence. So we see it a lot with a lot of people. They'll commit the violence, and then if whatever happens, they claim victimization after their act of violence. And the people who are the victims, they become the person that gets perpetuated as the violent one. And this is the whole inversion and perversion again. This is why things never change. Not just the public social aspect, but of the justice system. The faux justice system. It's fake justice. Justice for them, not for us. And everything. It pervades everything in our society, in our earth. In our present day, it's going to... same thing in the future. It's been taken over in the past. That's why it exists currently. And it's going to exist more so in the future. And there's going to be less people out there fighting it. Most people are going to be like, it won't happen to me. If it does, I got people who will help me. People aren't going to help you. They're going to be like, oh, you did this. Shh. I'm out of it. See, I thought you were someone I could trust. It's like, they're lying. They've always lied. And it's like, I'm sorry. It's gonna keep getting worse and worse. People more divisive, more singled out. It's a war of attrition, and you've got, I don't know whether it's paid. People are paid shills, paid opposition, probably. I mean, you'll see tons and tons of people who make YouTube videos, who make lots of money off of YouTube videos with their Patreon, or you see the Google payment, whatever system during live chats. You don't know their names. You don't ever see their face. You don't know where they live. you don't know anything about them, yet people will hang on every word that they say. It's like confuses me. Really? Anonymous people? You're gonna trust what they say about what's going on in the world? And then of course the people that you see who don't hide behind a computer or identity. Yeah. No one cares. It's like, this person, we know what he looks like. Why do we want to listen to this guy? Crazy world. It's a mad world. Mad world. 310. I've been speaking a lot. And to nobody, apparently. Except maybe a few handful. Thank you for people who stop by. Listen to my ramblings. We'll get to somewhere. Different means, different methods. All it takes is one. I mean, we keep seeing throughout history repeated, even the history of lies. One person changes pretty much everything. And it surpassed expectations. And that's what we have to do. You're never going to surpass expectations by doing the same thing that has failed in the past. Because everyone who's changed the world, they didn't do the same thing as others who failed before them did. They did something else. Okay. That's it for tonight. Thank you for visiting if you're watching, and we'll see you another night.